some cultivating, huh?
No,
I would think that.
it seemed good last week, but today was a little change in the weather pattern.
I think you're gonna see a few days of change here.
It will be coming.
I said everyone.
It will be coming. Yes, it will be. No, you tell him that Tim and I will be going to have lunch.
No, I come that close all of a sudden I realized where I was and man, no. You got it.
It's not a big deal.
Consider the source. It was not,
I would have laughed.
but jeez, I can just see this. All of a sudden,
Don't think it has to cross my mind.
Exactly. Too funny.
Barry, you got a full plate, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
Joe had a lot of committees that he was on.
Yeah, got me running. It's actually a job just setting my schedule up for the week, but it's all right. I enjoy it.
I'm on a
Look at all that big
What'd
money
you
you're
have for-
making.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's what people tell me, all that big money.
Yeah.
What'd you have for special? Corned beef and cabbage at Country Inn today?
I didn't have her today, no.
Oh, you didn't.
Everybody around me has her. I kind of let them do it. So maybe next year. Everybody's throwing at me why I don't have it, so I might have to do it next year.
That's when they do
I
that.
didn't know you owned the
accounting,
bar
they
out there on the, I didn't know that. My wife told me that.
I've got what you
Now I know it. Now I got a reason to stop there.
There you go.
I don't drink, but I can stop there and have a soda.
This is just for you.
Do a ton of food there.
balls I got.
You serve food?
Balls and
Well, I think I seen somebody else that scratched around in the field a little bit too.
So do you serve lunch?
I've
then?
started over here.
Well, yeah.
Got a very extensive menu.
On the
Prime rib.
I like earrings.
east side of a row of trees, there's
Most of the time, or?
Flu shot didn't work.
Wednesdays is usually my day off.
Can't do
I
that.
go and do book work and clean. But Thursdays I'm there. Friday nights and Sunday nights.
Pat, no. Don't get too close.
Thursdays are you around?
Yep. Yep.
I'll have to remember that one.
You got one too?
I remember one plan was, he lost that bag of something last year. I didn't know if that shortened him up around.
Michael Likeness, that's not good when it's addressed to him. That's no wonder you give it to me. Oh, okay. So no wonder you give it to me.
this short chair again.
Are you sure it's the chair, Robert?
Okay, they didn't respond yet.
It's good for eating because you can just scoop it right in.
I think the straw that they were chopping up by the Lake Poygan up there, and then they were big square brother because I had the Albright boys. They got done over there. They were at my place and bale second crop hay is what their third crop or whatever it was,
I'm so excited.
And I, that
Bob,
was.
you'll have to fill in for me probably. I may have to resign from the board.
I'm hoping to see Bill and Dee.
Health reasons. I got high blood pressure.
You want to switch?
But I've had it for the last 7 years.
I have too, but I take medication for it, but it ain't strong enough anymore, I guess.
We had
They
phone
are.
calls.
They're all fine. Gavin and
I wasn't in the house, and Linda couldn't.
Yeah.
Probably find a
Back, there was
pillow.
nobody there on their end, so I just left a message.
reminding you to see.
That'll have to take notes Thursday night.
Reluctantly.
We could probably find a pillow, Dennis.
You go.
Last week to,
Another barber shop.
last,
Last rehearsal before.
Does a good job with them.
You're not gonna be here Thursday?
Or, Jack.
$65 a bail for it is what I got, and
Fred will take notes if he's here.
satisfied with that, I guess.
If not, you'll have to ask Dawn if she wants to fill in.
Right, yep. That's what I had put on my slip down there to reload there. I wouldn't deliver.
I looked at it too.
I would deliver if I could back toward Waupun or Fond du Lac, but I don't want to end up going.
Larry, how many things do you guys got for,
Well, yeah, on the other side
or
of the
for
lake or down.
Board of Adjustments?
Further Milwaukee or something.
Two?
No,
So do we got two also.
Anytime.
right there.
Feel it.
Well, the guy that bought it.
I can see the friends. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Mel will do roll call.
Mrs. Krantz. Mr. Heisey.
Here.
Mr. Finn.
Here.
Mr. Mastercola.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein.
Here.
Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Wadle.
Here.
Mr. Rothermel.
Here.
Mark
Here.
Kirschner.
Okay, let's all stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. And then we need to approve the minutes of the February 17th, 2015 meeting.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve as printed.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have one person signing up for public comments, and that would be Jeff Nett.
Good evening. Before you tonight is a resolution, or a proclamation, I should say, for the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week coming up in April. And this is for recognizing our police communications dispatchers. We in West Sheriff County rely on our dispatchers for all first response to all emergencies. Our people dispatch law enforcement, fire, EMS, to whatever calls they have. And all it takes is one bad accident or one bad storm to come through the county, and they are juggling multiple phone calls, multiple radio channels, and multiple units on those radio channels. They do a tremendous job, and I'm very proud of them. And this proclamation coming before you is for them. So thank you, and I just wanted to say again how proud I am of our dispatchers we have here in North Sheriff County.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, we have no old business, so we're going to go to new business, and we have some reports and presentations. And first would be Jerry Smart, our surveyor, is going to give us his annual report.
Good evening. I'm not going to go through my whole report. That gives you kind of a detailed explanation of all the things I've done during the last year. I'll try to give you a little bit of highlights of what I've done and what's coming up in the coming year. You probably noticed on there that I mentioned I did 75 section corners, and in the past years it's been mostly maintenance. County spent a lot of money on section corners, and the maintenance really is necessary to be sure that those aren't damaged, those aren't lost, so that that investment stays sound for you. While I'm doing that, I'm also getting survey grade coordinates on those points. And the reason for that is that helps us. Prior to this, we know that those monuments are in the ground, but we don't know exactly where they are. So when we do this, we're able to turn that over to Sean with the GIS department. He's able to fine-tune the mapping a little more, and that just makes the whole system that much better. It also makes it much easier if that section corner happens to be lost or damaged. It's very easy when we have those coordinates to go back and replace that. So, you know, I do this quite a bit with the number of corners during the year. I do it with Department of Transportation when they're doing road work for saving section corners. Also during the year, several different surveys you may notice there. One of them I was able to, a farmer had come up to me, knew I was in the neighborhood, called me, asked me to stop out if I was back out there. He had some section corner monuments that were in his farm field that he'd been trying to farm around for over 15 years. And he said, can you do something about this? And we're able to move those in a logical manner so they're still safe, they still work for us, and now he can farm his field completely. Also had a lady come out while I was working, explained to her that what I was doing, what the corner was, and it was quite obvious that she had a rather large encroachment onto the next property. When I informed her of that, she was pretty tearful. I worked with her, explained to her I would help her however I could. Walked away feeling pretty good about myself until a few days later when I found out she was well aware of it and she was conning me. But that kind of sums up what last year was. This coming year, in fact, this week, we're part of a consortium, the Wisconsin Regional Orthophoto Consortium, and they'll be flying for new aerial photographs for the county. They're intending to fly this week. They fly it during this time of year as soon as the snow goes off and before the leaves come out, so you can get the most detail. We were able to partner with Adams Columbia, where normally we would get, here in Waushara, we would get 18-inch resolution, and they are picking up the difference in cost, so we'll be getting 6-inch resolution. And what that means is when you're looking at those photos, with 18-inch you get a good bird's eye view. You can zoom in some, but you know, for most of our purposes, that's fine. With the 6-inch, you'll be able to see power lines, power poles, even manholes in the road. So we're going to be able to do a lot of different things with those, whether it's the GIS, could come in handy for law enforcement as well. So we're looking forward to that. Again, they're planning to fly that this week. I have set some control over and above theirs, so when they give that to us for our approval, we've got something to check against to see if we're actually getting what we're paying for or not. Those photos are being paid for by a grant, so there's no money out of Waushara's pocket. Also, I just was at a summit meeting just recently, last week, as well as Sean. You may have heard the state is putting together and requiring us to help them put together, I guess I'll leave it at that, but a statewide parcel map. They're finding that it's a little more difficult than what they expected in the first place. Now what they're looking at doing is trying to have each county get survey grade coordinates on all of their exterior boundary, on all the public land system. We found out last week that I'd heard rumors that they would be putting up an extra grant for that. Found out last week that they are in fact going to do that. What amount, I don't know yet at this point in time. 50,000 has been bandied about for a couple of years, but whether that amount comes true or not, I'm not sure. When I'm doing I mentioned earlier, the section corners that I do, we can go to do those instead of in other parts of the county. We can do the boundary and collect that extra money. Once we've completed that, that money can be used for other projects. It can go back to the general fund or whatever you might wish with it. So while I'm not terribly in favor of their entire project, we certainly will take their money. There's no doubt about that. The last year has been a little different for me. First of all, I became a grandfather for the first time. I also contemplated for several months retiring. I've since changed my mind about that, but the reason I bring that up is I just wanted to point out that during that time, which was fairly difficult for me, several people here, and I won't even bother to name them all because there was a lot of different people, were very supportive of me during that time period. And I'm not sure if they're aware of just how much I appreciated that. And I'd just like to say that I've really enjoyed working here. You have a great bunch of employees, professional employees, and I'm glad to be part of it. Does anyone have any questions I can answer?
I'm glad you decided to stay too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And how old is your grandchild now?
He is 7 months today. I have one more item was relayed to me this afternoon actually by the county clerk, Gary Sorensen, And he was telling me that he grew up and born and raised in Oxford. And he told me about one evening a number of years ago when someone from Washera County was there and courting their wife, actually, and he was arrested for speeding. He had a chance to, Mr. Sorensen had a chance to talk to the police and say, you know, this is a really nice boy from Coloma. You don't need to do this. And apparently got off with a warning. So I just thought I'd mention that Vice Chairman.
Somebody's got a big mouth, don't they? Wait till I see Gary.
Thank you, folks.
They
That
didn't,
is all
they didn't
true,
throw him in jail? Oh, that's funny.
Cute. Okay, next, the District Attorney's Office Annual Report. Scott?
Good evening. I guess I'll be brief. I'm hoping that it'd be more a little bit about the questions you may have for me as opposed to what I would give you as an annual review. I would have largely a lot of numbers to tell you and give you a little bit of what we're doing. I would suspect that you would know a lot of that already. I would hope that you might have some questions and I could fill in some of the blanks for you if you have any questions. First off, I'm going to apologize. I've had kind of a bad cold. I've been under the weather, but I'll try to speak up for you. Last year, 2014, was a pretty basic year. It's pretty much rather in line with a lot of the years that we've seen before as far as felonies that were charged, as far as misdemeanors that were charged, and the trial calendar, with the exception of the 4 to 5 day homicide that we had in January of this year. From our perspective, there were approximately 1,300 criminal referrals to the District Attorney's Office last year. That comes both from the Sheriff's Department as well as from the Village of Granite, as well as from Coloma, Hancock, Wild Rose, the City of Watoma, and then we get a variety of charges coming out of the prison. We're seeing more and more charges coming out of the prison, both of an assault of nature, inmate on inmate battery, inmate on guard battery, as well as bringing in drugs, which seems to be the big thing that's in vogue now, into the prison, all of which are normally felony offenses. So if you're doing these cases in a prison setting, generally they come out as felonies, which is at an enhanced level. So about 1,300 referrals came in. We charged 209 felonies last year. We also charged about 550 misdemeanors last year for a total of approximately 841 crimes that were charged last year. In that crime figure, though, is not some of the intangibles that we normally don't, I guess, quantify, including the juvenile felonies, but they have to be processed even though they may commit misdemeanors or felonies. There was at least 66 juvenile cases that we also handled, and that may be a composite of something as simple as theft or something as significant as a sexual assault. And so those cases are developed the same way you would develop an adult level charge. You put the same type of energy in those cases, and many times, for example, the sexual assault cases in a juvenile context may have DNA and forensic evidence just like you would have in an adult level case. And so about 66 of those last year. We also handle all the forfeitures and citations. I don't know that we even quantify those for you, the speeding tickets, the overweight tickets. We also handle the DNR tickets as well as the impounded ordinance tickets for trespass. Sand blanket removals and for hunting out of season and the like, those type of things. We handle those as well. I would assume that those are probably almost 450. I don't know that we quantified them this year just because they're a bit nebulous. Aside from that, those numbers are pretty static, so they're about where they were the year before. From my perspective, what changes is that there's just been a lot of significant cases. Your garden variety burglaries seem to be gone, and a lot of internet crimes cases now. Cases for which you would have a felony, but it's not necessarily a prison case. Some of those cases are kind of by the wayside. We're getting a lot of significant felony level cases for which the only answer is really a prison argument. And so I'm seeing more and more of those, although the numbers across the board are somewhat equal and static from my perspective. Internet crimes cases, we're seeing a lot of those. I think I've already touched on that a little bit, but these are under the auspice of sex predator type cases, people who are communicating with children online, people who are using computers to send pictures of themselves, extrapolate pictures from children, or just distribute, personal data and information. We also see a lot of opiate level crimes. I think they're probably at the same level they were for the last couple of years. By opiate, I mean heroin type cases together with narcotics, hydrocodone, as well as oxycodone and morphine. Those cases have been pretty high for quite a while, and they're staying at that level. I don't know that they've necessarily dipped down. I expect there'll be more cases now because as of September 30th last year, they rescheduled Vicodin. Vicodin used to be a Schedule 3, so it wasn't automatically a felony if you just had a certain amount in it, if you possessed it without prescription. That's been rescheduled to a Class 2, so that's now a felony. And there's just a lot of people that are walking around, especially young people with Vicodin, that would now be classified and charged as a felony. So I expect we'll see a bump next year. The prison crimes, as I stated before, have been seen sign of an uptick in them. The prison crimes are handled both by the internal investigators at Red Granite Prison as well as working with the Red Granite Police Department. So the prison kind of does their own preliminary investigation. They turn it over to Red Granite. Red Granite then tries to develop the crimes that we're seeing out of there are people that are bringing in controlled substances into the prison. Many times they're storing it in their body cavity and bringing it in and then trying to pass it through a baggage ship. I think at one time we had almost 9 of those cases open in 1 month. Just a lot of people that are trying to bring that in. So, and they're difficult cases to prove because the prison inmate population are there for a reason. They usually don't talk. So if you got them on video, you got them. Otherwise, if you're hoping for a confession, that's probably pretty much a loss. So, but in any event, those cases do take a lot of time, and we've been working on those. The other cases that are out there are still your OWIs, your domestics, and your burglaries. Those are pretty much static. If there's any change, I would notice that on prescription pills. We're seeing a lot more impaired driving offenses for prescription pills. And we've been seeing that for quite some time. People are being prescribed medications, and they think they can drive. They can't. They're running off the road, crashing into power poles, that kind of thing, because they're under the medication, and they're taking way too many of them. And quite frankly, they're probably more impaired than somebody that might have drank a half a case of beer. They're just really impaired. And so that's something that we're also trying to deal with a little bit. We've also been working on getting the drug court up and running. That's been a bit of a challenge. There's been some bumps in the road, but all in all, it's pretty good. We've seen some pretty good successes in there. We did have one person who was put in the drug court, which I later charged out for another heroin conspiracy. So while they were in the drug court, they were also distributing heroin, and we got to be upfront with you about that. We did charge that person out, and if the state has its way, he'll probably be going along to prison. Obviously, that'll be left up to the judge, but that's what happens. Now, having said that, the rest of the group is pretty good. There's some of these people that have almost 8 months sobriety, which might be more sobriety than they have for the last couple of years. So you take the good with the bad, and all in all, I think it's going pretty well. And I think as we get to a learning curve on how to deal with some of these people and some of these addictions, I think it'll turn out pretty well. And I think the next year or two, we'll have a better baseline on just how many people are going to succeed and how many people we're not going to be able to help. Any thoughts? It really ought to be about any questions that you folks have, what we're doing, priorities, things like that.
A question. When someone over at the prison brings drugs, like if I were to come to see you in jail and I brought drugs and I got caught, then they're banned from coming back, aren't they? Or
Well, yes and no. Usually what it is we make a bond condition that you can't go back to the prison. And once they're convicted, if they're convicted while they're on probation, they shouldn't be there. Legally, I can kind of keep them off. But then the DOC, Department of Corrections, has kind of a list of people that can't come in. They can put them on this kind of banned list even after our conviction. So you're seeing a lot of that now. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Parks and Solid Waste Annual Report. Scott?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak about the Parks and Solid Waste Department tonight. You notice the logo is green for St. Patrick's Day. Instead of giving a summary of statistics like how many park reservations that we take or how many pounds of recyclables that we receive in a year, tonight I'm going to touch on a couple of projects that we've been working on in the last year. Some people may not know it, but ownership of the Alpine Dam was transferred to Waushara County along with the park in 1971. And the dam itself consists of 2 large earthen dikes and the water control structure that you see here. This past year we completed the state-required 10-year inspection. And in that inspection they identified 3 items for attention. One was a couple of trees that were right on the edge of the dam that needed to be removed, requirement for some elevation benchmarks needed to be set, and then some areas of the dam shoreline that needed riprap supplement. So as a result of that inspection, the trees and shrub and brush were removed. The benchmarks were set and tied in with the help of Jerry Smart. And it was decided to supplement the entire 1,200 feet of shoreline with riprap. Waushara County Highway Department and Dayling Construction completed the project in less than a day. This is just a photo of how the project turned out. You notice that we did it middle of winter to try to minimize erosion on the dam itself with the heavy equipment. It's also important to note that about 10 years ago, the Waushara County Land Conservation Department developed a required dam failure shadow analysis for this lake and this dam, and the zoning department took action to limit building in that shadow area. And because of that and these projects that we just completed, Waushara County is able to maintain a low hazard rating for this dam. Go ahead. Parks Department has been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for about the past 10 years to restore prairie ecosystem on 2 different properties. One is 20 acres at Coozle Lake County Park on the old Hiawatha Campfire Girls property, and the other is on about 11 acres at Mount Morris Hills along W on the south side of the hill. In 2014, we used matching county conservation grant funds to work on removing undesirable trees, shrubs, and forbs. And this season, we hope to burn both prairie properties. The Coozle property should be burned this spring, and the Mount Morris property this coming fall. Waushara County Parks Department took over a program of welcome signs from the County Tavern League in the mid-1980s. At that time, there were 2 signs, one on each end of Highway 51. And over the years, the project has grown to 10 signs, 1 at each state highway crossing at county line. Each sign is just off the right-of-way on private property, and we basically lease the property from the landowner at no cost with a handshake agreement. Sign faces last about somewhere between 5 and 8 years, depending on the exposure. The county parks permits, builds, and maintains all the signs. In response to the 2010 state ban on landfilling electronics, Waushara County has been recycling these items at a rate of about 30 tons per year. Our staff collects the items, collects the fees, processes and loads the electronics for recycling. We hire the Waushara County Highway Department to haul our semi-trailer to the recycler that we deal with at this time in La Crosse. At this time, we haul about 4 loads a year. And recently, problems with the CRT glass in TVs and some market issues have caused the cost associated with recycling. It has caused us to raise our rates for recycling these items just to make the program break even. Hopefully in the next few years, things will be straightened out on the state level. In 2014, with the support of the Land Records Committee, we worked with Norm Boucher of Headwaters Resources to include a interactive mapping element to our portion of the county's webpage. This is the icon that takes you to that mapping section. The new program lists attributes for each park when you click on it, and zooms in on the air photo, and it includes quick links to all the parks maintained brochures. Some of the other things on this map, and if you can see it, just to the north and west of Kuzel there is a boat landing. It's actually in the park. If you click on the boat landing, it'll also give reference to our boat landing booklet. So there's an awful lot of information on this particular site. We also show non-county recreational assets like Nordic Mountain and the Ice Age Trail. And if you click on that, it'll get you to their specific websites and their specific information. So it's a pretty powerful site. You should check it out. One of my duties is to act as the county snowmobile coordinator, and that basically what I do is act as a liaison between the snowmobile clubs and the state. We've been working for years and years with hand-drawn maps for this program, and recently we've started to improve the accuracy by GPSing snowmobile trails to coordinate them with all the other available county mapping layers. And I want to thank Kyle Kucher from the zoning department for helping out by riding trails with a GPS unit each year for the last few years. Of course, we didn't have snow this year, so we didn't do much riding. But the big advantage here is we get a much higher degree of accuracy. We have an ability to generate landowner lists very easily, and the measurements themselves are much more accurate. I want to also thank Sean Kelly for his work in this program. The last project I want to talk about is the Memorial Tree Program that we've been working on at the fairgrounds for about the last 10 years. And in the last 10 years, we've planted in excess of 15 trees that have been donated for planting, and most have been in memory of a loved one. And usually they have some direct connection either to the county fair or county government. The first donated tree in this program was pink spire crab, donated in memory of Gordon Krenz, 2004. And these are just some examples of some of the things that are possible to donate. We do custom benches often, or the straight 6-foot bench, and then we'll do a engraved plaque to go with it. And it's, like I said, it started in 2004, and it's kind of really taken off in the last few years. So at this time, I'd like to publicly recognize the full-time department employees. Dennis Urban, Parks Foreman, has been with us for 24 years. Roger Barr, Solid Waste Foreman, has been with the county for 26 years. Part-time secretary, Sarah Naparella, and we also have about 30 dedicated, hardworking, part-time and seasonal employees to serve the public in either parks or collection sites. So, end of report. Any questions?
How did we acquire the Alpine property?
It was actually donated by the folks that dug the lake, and it was, I'm sure it was, and of course this is before my time, but I'm sure it was talked about and lined up prior to completion. The state, at this time anyway, I don't know about back then, but the state really wants a municipal owner for dams. So I'm sure that there was talk about it before the thing was done, or even possibly before it was even started. Any other questions?
All right, now we're going to work on the discussion of possible motion action items. First is reimbursement policy for subpoenaed witnesses. Is that you, Ruth? Packet. We need a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the item.
We have a motion and a second by Mark Kirschner. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have a 2015 county surveyor contract. By Russ, second by Bob. Any questions or comments? Larry?
Is this agreement any different than the previous one?
There's a lot more legal references in here. The last one was a one-page, a couple paragraphs. Marquette County has a new corporation counsel, and she asked for a more comprehensive agreement.
Is it any different than the amount we have to pay?
They did increase the amount we pay by about $5,000.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next,
Guess
we have-
you're stuck with us, Jerry. Sorry.
Okay, we have consideration and possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. Resolution number 080315.
Acknowledgement of E911 dispatcher Karen Lachey's service to and retirement from Washera County.
Motion by Eckstein, second by Weddy. All in favor? Opposed, same sign.
Resolution number 9-3-15, acknowledgement of E911 dispatcher Barbara McCarrick, service to and retirement from Washera County.
Motion by Kirschner, second by Wato. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Resolution number 10-3-15, acknowledgement of Fran Geyer's service to and retirement from Washera County.
Motion by Bernadette, second by Weddy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Resolution number 11-3-15, resolution opposing the countywide assessment initiative contained in the proposed state's budget.
Motion by Eckstein, second by Larry Tim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution number 12-3-15, resolution authorizing reorganization of EMS department.
Motion by King, second by Kirschner. Any questions or comments? Deb can explain this to you if you need further explanation.
If you have any questions, the organizational structure currently has a deputy director position. That position is vacant, and the department is asking that the deputy director position be removed from the organizational structure, that they have the ability to hire a full-time relief paramedic, which we've never had before, and then allow them to have some clerical support. We've looked at the budget. They can cover this for 2015, and it will give them some time to figure out what they want to do with the clerical position for 2016, and they'll come back with something more specific on the clerical help.
Okay.
You should also mention that it includes a lead paramedic.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you, Larry, for reminding me of that. Right now, there are 3 different rotational shifts, and so the department is asking that they have a lead paramedic on each of the rotations. the lead paramedic would be able to make daily operational decisions. They would have the authority to do that. We have had some preliminary discussions with the union. They've agreed that there would be an adjustment for 35 cents an hour, that these positions they'd have to apply for the position. It wouldn't be based on seniority, that it would be based on abilities. And so the union is on board with this.
I would just say in the time when we did have a director and I was over there, there were a lot of times when you would hear from multiple people on different shifts, this needs to get done. There's a door handle broken on an ambulance, there's this stuff. But no one would take the initiative to actually fix it. And I think that a lead person would be good. There were also lots of things that we found while we were doing the search for a new director that just weren't getting filed properly. There were years worth of training records, things like that. Things that I think that you could probably do with a clerical person versus a deputy director, and I think that this is probably a good way to move forward.
Any other questions? We're going to need a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Wado?
Yes.
Mr. Rothenbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch?
Yes.
Mrs. Frenz? Yes. Mr. Heisey?
Yes.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Mastrocola?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
11 ayes. Ordinance number 582, ordinance amending Waushara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58 Waushara County Code. Zone change, Edenwood Ranch and Preserve. Kevin Schmidt, landowner, Town of Mount Morris.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the ordinance.
Motion to approve by Weddy. Second by Wado. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Ordinance number 583, ordinance amending Waushara County Code numbers 18, 22, 40, 42, and 58.
Before you make a motion, Supervisor Tim had provided us with a letter concerning some questions, and I believe that Terry has given you a proposed change to a definition in that code. Oh, okay. And so one of the things that we would like you to consider tonight is possibly adopting the changes to the ordinance with an additional change to the definition of inoperative vehicles based upon some comments that Supervisor Tim had provided to us since the public hearing that Zoning had passed.
Thank you, Terry.
I think we got enough. There's some more. There's another one.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 583 with the additional adjustment in verbiage of the inoperable vehicle.
We have a motion by Master Colon,
I'll second the motion.
second by Weddy. Are there any further questions or comments on the ordinance? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Yes, we'll go down to the proclamations.
The first one is recognizing April 12th through the 18th, 2015 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And the second is recognizing April 2015 as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Motion by Kirschner. Second by Bernadette. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now we are down to board suggestions for future agenda items. Anybody have anything? Next month, Jeff and I will be here to tell you that you should be walking in the Jailbreak Marathon. And we'll bring our brochures with us. I have some here if somebody wants some, so. But we're really gonna,
You
yes.
should really register before the 21st, because that's only 4 days away.
Same day registration. But please walk in the Jailbreak Marathon. I did that. We have a motion by Eckstein, second by Tim to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Scott,
I could have said,
Two for sale.
darn, this year
If it's both up.
coming in with her.
Aches all over and sinuses are plugged and.
You
just
did,
don't
I think
feel
you did
good.
very well.
Yeah, cough
Thank
to
you
death.
very much.
Still got a few
Very good,
coughs left
Scott.
in there, yes.
But they gotta move this goddamn.
That's what Jerry said, why can't we?
Understand that. I'm gonna get a hold of Randy himself.
Yeah, see what he says. Tell him there's full-figured people that would like it removed. What? Dalen?
I know.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Well, I didn't think so, because I got tired of the day.
You just wait, Russell.
I was just thinking it was your boss, didn't he?
Jerry.
He moved the county highwayman along pretty fast. I didn't have time for a coffee break.
You probably didn't like that.
Hear that blood pressure there. Be jogging home.
I'm not complaining, by the way. Then you would have just.
You have to go to Monopoly?
Yeah, it was. Rapid fire.